So with that comes the ability to change someone's life, change a family's life, to bring in policies that actually benefit the residents of Enfield, that bring good to the borough. And for me, that's the most rewarding part for me. We knocked down 3 tower blocks and we built this amazing, beautiful new estate. It's the biggest renewal project that we've got in Enfield. And it's been able to retain those tenants, bring them back into brand new homes with a brand new public realm, to feel safer, to feel more proud of their home in a sense.
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and by Lovell. And I'm visiting a different council every month to find out what works and what needs to change to get more homes built. And this month, I'm in the London Borough of Enfield. And I've come to meet the Cabinet Member for Housing, Ayten Guzel, to find out about the challenges that Enfield in particular is facing in getting more homes built, and also what makes this place different and special.
I'm Cllr Ayten Guzel. I've been Cabinet Member for 1.5 years now at Enfield Council, and I'm responsible for the brief for social housing, so the 15,700 properties that we own in the housing revenue account, and for homelessness and homeless prevention, rough sleeping. So that's my responsibility. That's what I do in my own time on top of a full-time job. So it's tough, but it's rewarding and it's worth doing.
Well, how do you feel about carrying that level of responsibility?
I like the responsibility because with that comes the ability to make change. So with that comes the ability to change someone's life, change a family's life, to bring in policies that actually benefit the residents of Enfield, that bring good to the borough. And for me, that's the most rewarding part for me. Knowing that I have the ability to make an impact on someone's life. For example, where we are today, we knocked down 3 tower blocks and we built this amazing, beautiful new estate. It's the biggest renewal project that we've got in Enfield. And it's been able to retain those tenants, bring them back into brand new homes with a brand new public realm, to feel safer, to feel more proud of their home in a sense. So that's the most rewarding part, knowing that I've made a difference in someone's life. And yeah, and when I have the conversations and residents tell me that, it's the most satisfying thing for me.
No, it must be. But if it's that good that if it was easy, it would be happening all the time everywhere, and it isn't. So what are the challenges? What's stopping you doing this again and again and again? And by the way, we should describe where we are. It's the Alma Estate.
Yes, we're at the Alma Estate today. We're in Ponders End Ward. And like I said, it's the biggest estate renewal project that Enfield has overseen. It started in 2017. So one of the challenges is timescales. This started in 2017. It takes years to redevelop, to regenerate. And we've got projects elsewhere in the borough, like Joyce and Snell's, where we're planning on a 20-year scheme, which is far too long. Like residents, I want to see change immediately. I know we can't build overnight, but we want to reduce the amount of time it takes us to build. And with that is, obviously, coupled with that is the challenge of financial support. We're ambitious as a borough. We're ready to build. We've got pipelines. We've got projects lined up. But for us, we need government support. We need the funding. We do have more support from this Labour government than we have done previously. But we obviously need more of that, and we need that to continue. So when the government announces 1.5 million new homes, we're proud of that because we know we've got a pipeline that's going to fit right into that. And another challenge is knowing that you can go in and you can have a project and a plan, but residents have their own wishes and needs, and we need to put them at the heart of everything we do, which is what we do. So it's not necessarily a challenge for us in that sense, but it's something that we have to factor in, take into account, and design and build based on what residents want. For example, with the Joyce and Snell's estate, we built a playground, but it was designed by the little kids. So it's the youngest residents who are going to use it, they're going to benefit, they're going to enjoy it. So of course we're going to let them choose what they want on their new playground. So it's things like this where we want to get them involved, and we want to make sure that we get it right. We don't want to make any mistakes. We don't want to upset our residents. We want to give them what they want, and we want to give them a new estate where they feel proud to live in.
So Ayten, you mentioned money. Is that the big problem? You know, if you get enough money, problem over, you can build as many houses as you like.
Money is not the only problem. If we have the money, we could deliver as quick as the planning system allows us to. Currently, there are barriers, there are challenges that are created by the current outdated, completely out of time planning system. So when the government came in and they announced a rehaul and a reform of the planning system, that is for us a green light that actually when that is in play and the government progresses with their proposals, it would be easier for us if we have the money to then build.
Okay, so you're looking for reform of the planning system as well. The government has put forward those reforms, but it's also put forward £39 billion to build new social and affordable housing. Is that enough money, and is it going to the right places?
It's definitely going to the right places. We would obviously in Enfield always want the biggest chunk, like every other borough would, because we've got 7,500 on our housing register and 3,000 in TA. We're not the only council with this problem. And in London, building has become a very expensive task to do. What we tend to see a lot more now is empty, half-finished blocks that have started on site, can't complete, private developers don't have the cash. And if we were to have the money, we could possibly look at ways of taking over those sites. We could look at innovative ways. We could maybe release more sites. So we've got the local plan that's currently with the examiner going through an examination with the inspectorate. If we were to have that money, there's so much potential. But the planning system has to change to allow that potential and unlock it.
So go on, what is the potential? If you got all of that money and you got the planning system unlocked, what could you do with that sort of freedom? How many houses could you build?
So we could build much more than the 3,500 that we've got earmarked at the moment. Okay. We would obviously, when we have that green light, when we know when our challenges have lessened in a sense, we would have a complete review of our strategy. We would look for more sites. We would look at how we can make use of the existing sites that are currently being selected in the local plan as sites for the redevelopment. We would look for more partnership. We have great partnerships with developers in Enfield. We would look to strengthen those and we always look at different sorts of ways of developing. It could be buying the land, it could be buying the site first, it could be building ourselves, it could be buying the affordable. There are opportunities are endless, but once we know that we've got the green light to go ahead with more money, less challenges in planning, it would really and truly make a huge difference for us.
So as a council, you deliver houses yourself, you build houses yourselves, you're in partnership with this tree here and with other developers on other schemes.
Yeah.
What's your preference? What do you prefer as a way to bring new homes forward?
I don't have the luxury of a preference. We have to consider everything. I can't pick and choose what way we build because there are so many different opportunities and options that really and truly at this point it's how many homes can we get in the social housing for social rent, how many affordable we can get. That doesn't mean that that's all we need. We need the private rented sector. There's a whole market out there. We also need homes for first time buyers. So it's anywhere and it's anything that we can get kind of dibs in that we would want to obviously make use of. I don't have a preference, but Enfield being a lead developer is always the best because we know what our residents want. Yeah. We know what their needs are. We know that there's a huge contrast in the socioeconomic dynamics of the eastern corridor of Enfield and the western side. And we do focus on development on the eastern side. And when we work with developers, like here on the Alma Estate, we're the best advocate for our own residents. So Enfield being the lead, always a good idea, always the best because we get out what we know our residents need and want. But like I said, all options would always be considered.
And what's your message to those development partners out there about doing business with Enfield? I mean, sometimes there's tension, right? Sometimes it's difficult to work with the private sector. So how do you want to be viewed as a borough?
We're welcome, we're open, our doors are open. I meet with developers, I have the conversations that we need to have. For me, it's get in there and build those relationships with us. We want to meet you. We want to talk to you. Where there's opportunity, we want to work with you. Absolutely. So speak to us, introduce yourselves, and we will know who you are, and we will continue those working relationships like we do with, for example, Vistry on here, like we deal with Hill in Upper Edmonton and on Joyce and Snell's. So we want to work with you, of course, and we're welcome to. And I think we've done really well here.
So getting it back to this regeneration, to the Alma Estate, tell us a bit about your relationship with this place.
So I obviously grew up in Enfield, in the eastern side of Enfield. I was quite close here. I spent my childhood coming to my auntie's house, and she used to live in one of these blocks. I'm not sure if it's this, it might be the blue one, but that's knocked down. And as you can see, there's a brand new one now. And it wasn't It's nothing like what it is now for obvious reasons. We've completely transformed the place. But there were, what I remember here was there were little alleyways leading from one block to another, secluded and dark hotspots, perfect for criminals, perfect for antisocial behaviour.
And just scary to be in.
Just scary to be in, perfect for drug activity. And there were a lot of complaints back then. And what we did, and that's something that we do really well in Enfield, we work really closely with the police, and we do this thing where the police, we call them in for a design out crime survey. And the police would come on site, they would then look at where the main hotspots are, where the main complaints come from, where the main reports are, and they would advise us on our plans for Regen when we're renewing an estate and say, actually, you could do things differently this way, like block this entrance here or don't have one, or remove this section here, or build here because this was where it was the most attractive. And we obviously factor that in. Like with Joyce and Snell's at the moment, it's because that's hopefully going to look like this very soon. With Joyce and Snell's, the police have run a really long operation, they're called Operation Pisces. And as part of that, they advised us to lock and put locked gates on certain entrances and exits to alleyways. And that's reduced crime by 30% on the estate in its current format. Now, imagine the level of crime that we reduced when we put that into the plans for the regeneration of Joyce and Snell's. It's things like that that make a huge difference and make a big difference in people's lives. People feel safer here. I personally feel safer here when I come now compared to how it was when I was little, probably more frightened, but when it actually was a lot more secluded as an estate. Now it's open realm. Before there was barriers, there was gates, there was parking that covered the entire set of blocks. Now it's different. We've got little side roads rather than parking lots. Parking lots attract crime as well. It's the little things that make a huge difference.
And that's a Metropolitan Police programme called Designing Out Crime. And did they come to you? Did you go to them?
So Designing Out Crime is something they do on all estates. It could be private, it could be council housing. But the operations they hold is Cllr Hold Build, and that's something that they operate in 2 estates in Enfield. The Designing Out Crime is something that we do always tend to approach them and ask them for comment. We consult them. And of course, the police in Enfield are fantastic and they do feedback, and that's what we appreciate. And it's that partnership working that we value.
Councillor, thank you very much indeed for your role in getting 1.5 million new homes built.
Thanks, Toby. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Ayten. So that's it for another episode of 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge, sponsored by Redloft and by Lovell. We're going to be back in a few days with more from the London Borough of Enfield. But in the meantime, if you hit like and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, we'd be really grateful, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.